Now, another one of these on Bosch rotary hammer. This is the GBH 8/45D, and going by the customer, this could be a bit of a handle on this one. Customer says it's making a very bad sound whenever it's running, and sometimes it comes off the hammer and just runs free. So that doesn't sound good, to be honest. Just turn that speed down before we test it. Sadly, this one is 2022 and he hasn't registered it for the 3-year warranty. It's only had the 1-year warranty, and that's been up a few months now, so this is not under warranty, which is a problem, because if it's what I think it is, this could be an expensive repair. So we'll turn the speed down to try to minimize any further damage just from me testing this thing out. Yeah, that's the problem, alright. Hear that wee clicking noise? That motor's actually spinning completely free. It's not meeting any resistance, it's not hammering or rotating or doing anything. The motor's just spinning. So I think this is also broken the eccentric cog gear up on here, which is about over €100 for that part alone. And if it's damaged the armature, that's another €300. So we'll see what we can do with this one without doing a warranty repair on it, because we can't do a warranty repair. Bosch, like Makita, DeWalt, all of them, Milwaukee, all the same. They come with a 1-year warranty. You have to register the machine online then, put in the serial number and the type of the machine, include details for your receipt for your payment, to register it for a 3-year warranty. You get a cert then with it, if you can give on to the likes of me, for a warranty repair if it's within the 3 years. But you can only register the tool for the 3-year warranty within 30 days of buying it. So you can't go back 6 months later and then register it. It has to be within the month of buying it. Plus, whenever you have it registered online for the 3-year warranty, say 2.5 years down the line, the thing breaks down, you burn out a motor or something, leave it on for a warranty repair, that cert on its own is still no good. You still need your original purchase receipt along with it for the warranty. So don't be just thinking the 3-year thing is going to get you out. You need to keep and hold on to your receipt as well, and the dates on the receipt to the date of actual register have to match up correctly. This doesn't matter anyway, because this is not under warranty. See if we can fix it, or fix it for as cheap as possible. If we have to replace this armature as well, we're going to be into at least half the price of a new machine. So we want to keep the cost down as much as possible, if possible. Rid of the plastic bits first. Rid of the handle. Yeah, there we go. Broke the eccentric cog. So this is an eccentric gear. The crankshaft basically, as this gear spins, moves the piston up and down to give you your hammer. So that gear is on a shaft, which is connected onto another gear at the bottom, which rotates your clutch gear at the bottom. The clutch then runs as bevel gear that gives you rotation. This one is one that meshes onto the armature. This is your main drive. The question is, did it destroy the armature? Well, it's done it no good anyway. But we might get away with it. Hasn't broke any teeth off, it hasn't taken any big gouges out. She has chewed it up a wee bit, no doubt about that. But the armature itself is still good, hasn't burnt out. It's just damaged the gear, so maybe we get away with a cheap repair in this. Change the eccentric gear, leave this as is. Hopefully it won't be too loud. This could just sound like a bag of cats by the time it's done, because this gear is not going to mesh the new eccentric gear correctly, but it'll still run and it'll quiet down over time. If it's not too loud, we'll get away with it, but if it's very, very loud, the customer's not going to want to run it like that, and it'll be a waste of time. But we're not going to know until we try it out. So we'll leave that as is, and we'll see what we can do with this. Because it's broke these teeth off the gear, there's now pieces of metal inside this grease. So we have to clean all this out in order to get all the bits out. We can't take the risk of changing that gear and leaving the grease on there, because if we do, one of them teeth is just going to come up and get caught in one of the teeth again, one of the cogs, or tear up one of the O-rings and cause more damage. They have to be removed. By the looks of that, there's at least 2 or 3 of them broken off. Try to keep that seal ring as well, if possible, because they're quite expensive. I'm going to have to take the hammer pipe out of this. Another C-clip here. Get that one out. This disc is only holding in these pins. So this tool holder is actually replaceable. You can't take out the tool holder from the hammer pipe if you ever happen to wear out the actual tool holder. We'll leave them in for now. Just get out this C-clip. Take that out. Just pull out your striker as well. Piston looks okay. And we'll get this out. 2 torque heads down on here. Slacken them first. They are tight, and get them out. And gear should just come straight out. There's the 2 of them. There's your clutch. We'll wash all this out. And also check the gears on the actual clutch, the actual teeth of the clutch, because sometimes them teeth, because they're up here, when they break off they can drop down into this cavity, which goes straight onto the clutch gear. Sometimes they can go on. There's one there though. That's why you have to make sure you wash it out. Sometimes they can drop on and get caught in the teeth of the clutch, and they can just get literally crushed or squashed in between the gaps. You can't really get them out if they're embedded in too hard, so you could have to replace your clutch gear as well. Double check that. This, yeah, there's a few gone. 2 whole ones, 2 half ones. Right, need to replace that. We need to wash this tool holder, not so much. The actual clutch we do need to clean, some of the other wee bits. See if we can get this up and running again for as little as possible. Right, since we're washing some of it out, as well wash the whole thing and all the other wee bits as well. Don't have to, but it just makes it easier to work on. Now, don't need to clean this part, I just want to check this gear on the bottom, just to make sure there's no wee bits of teeth jammed inside of it. It'll give you an indication there's something gone on this one. That one looks alright. Now that part there, that eccentric gear, that costs about 110 euro to buy that there. You can just buy the gear on its own. It comes on the centre shaft with the gear on top, and you can just remove this gear, the actual pedestal as well, and the needle bearing underneath. But to be honest, it's not really worth it. To buy that gear on its own costs about 85 or 90 euro. So an extra 10 or 15 euro buys the entire thing, with a new needle bearing as well, which costs about 20 or 30 euro on its own. So if you did need to replace one, you're better off just replacing the entire part instead of just replacing this here gear on its own. More beneficial in the long run, mainly because of the needle bearing here. So that is gone. The other thing we want to do was this. Just quickly clean these bits. Everything inside the actual hammer housing itself can be contaminated with broken bits of metal, because most of these parts aren't actually cut gears or anything. They're made using powder metallurgy, so whenever they snap, they break, they can just shatter into little pieces, and them little pieces in the long run could just destroy the o-rings and seals on your piston and striker. So you may get it up and running, but it may only last a few months before it loses the hammer, and that's because of debris inside suspended in the grease, wearing out parts that shouldn't be wearing out. So if this does happen, clean everything out thoroughly and put in fresh grease. Okay. Every time you get a machine on like this with broken parts inside, it takes longer to wash it out. And every time you actually wash the thing out, you'll hear the bits of metal falling out, hitting the steel parts washer here, and you'll know straight away you've made the right call to wash it. Because if you leave them bits in, you're just causing trouble later. I could really do with cleaning this parts washer out myself as well. Very low stream here. This is a wee bit low in fluid. A wee bit overdue, but I'll leave it for a wee while longer, mainly because I don't have time to do it. That looks okay. It's not too bad. Get away with that. This should be the main offender. This is where all the bits should be. Just get them needle bearings out first. You don't want any bits going onto them to contaminate them. Just make sure they're clear. This is the main thing you need to wash out. Now, you may think you don't need to be this thorough on cleaning it out. There's a perfect example why. All the time I just spent washing that out, getting every wee nook and cranny cleaned. There's another bit of the tooth stuck inside the housing. You really cannot spend enough time cleaning this out. Clean it out, then blow the whole thing out, and go and pat it all dry and inspect everything again. Because honestly, them wee teeth will hide anywhere. And if they drop out then into the gears, you're just going to destroy the machine again. Make sure you spend loads of time checking everything. Good job of seeing that, because if that dropped in, that would have been a disaster. Okay, hopefully that'll do it this time. Now, if you're in any doubt about the hammer mechanism on this, if it's weak at all, you can put in a new service kit as well. Now when it's stripped apart, it would be easier. This one I think's okay. But that piston o-ring does have a wee flat spot on it. The striker's not so bad. Just in case, for all the price of 2 o-rings, replace them as well. And that'll keep it hammering right. If you ever bust your eccentric gear, that's the number there. That's it. One complete kit. Needle bearing and bottom gear installed and all. Pre-greased. So that's all we need. I just need to put it back together again. That's the o-ring number if you're ever looking for them. Plenty of grease down on there. Hammer pipe, not essential on the outside, but we'll get a bit on there anyway. Drop in your striker. Just put a bit of grease around the edge here as well. Drop that on. And dab more grease. That's that bit ready. There's your selector. Changing modes. Just throw that together. Tap on your needle bearings. Top up the grease. Now for the main piece. Bit of grease in both them gears, just to help with the initial startup. Drop that on. Just line up the holes, and that'll be pedestal to the holes in the housing. And Loctite for the screws as well. Not to be forgotten. You do not want these coming out. Left hand first, till you hear the click. That's it dropping onto the original thread. Same with this one. Oh, would that phone ever stop? Nothing but phone calls today. I'll just grease in here before I stick that in. Yeah, as you're putting it on, just get a wee twist back and forth. Till you get this wee notch onto the housing. Now once you've got up so far, you can slide that selector ring over so you can rotate the whole thing. Push it all down. You can drop on your C-clip end, hold it all on. It can be a tight fit, so sometimes you just have to get a little bit of a slap. I recommend just giving it a slap anyway, just to guarantee that it's seated. Because if that C-clip comes out whenever you're running this machine, the whole hammer pipe is going to shoot out. You'll end up destroying your piston as well. So make sure you have that C-clip on good and tight. And just lock them in place There's a little O-ring that sits up here too. That's just stuck on the sleeve. The O-ring just sits there. Sleeve goes over the top. And that's just what holds on the steel pans to stop them from coming out. And that's the mechanism ready to go. Before we finish that, just put this oil seal back on. Be careful not to stretch this out. If you stretch it at all, it will not sit on correctly and you have to replace it. That ready to go. I'll marry these up. Just actually put a bit of grease on this needle bearing also, because we would wash it out. Wouldn't want that to run dry. That on for now. So before we can bolt it down, we have to put the cover on. Before we put the cover on, we need to get some grease onto it. Now for this, we're using 85 ml of grease. So that and a bit more. And also, don't forget about this little plastic board for the back. See, just drops in there. And all that is the 2 screw holes for the actual back handle. 2 go down here, 2 up here. So without that, there's nothing to screw onto. Let's put that on. And to put on your top cover, the selector ring here. Drop that all the way forward. So that'll put it into hammer mode. Then make sure your top cover then is in the same mode, hammer only mode. Then this here plastic ring engages onto that selector. Drop them on and secure the whole lot down. You've also got 2 machine screws at the top as well. Now she's all tightened up. Give your fan a little turn. Make sure everything's running smooth. Nothing's interfering. Perfect. Now when fitting the handle, take it out of hammer mode. This hammer has an automatic latch that comes out that keeps it engaged. It can actually stop you putting on the handle sometimes. Fit your handle. And just give 1 or 2 screws on to hold it. Get everything wired on. Once it's wired, put your bottom cover on, because this cover actually bears down on this bearing sleeve and pushes it down, so it gives the armature a bit of clearance on the air deflector down here. So turn the armature by hand to make sure the gears and everything are working correctly, and then fit your bottom cover to make sure the armature isn't interfering with anything. That should turn nice and smoothly. Perfect. You can put on your cover. Slide that on. One screw holds it. Finish these handle screws. Tackle the actual tool holder. Bit of grease onto it. Always want grease on a tool holder. Helps keep everything moving right, stops it jamming, stops it rusting, but it also helps expel bits of dirt and grit. Lastly, the handle. Now for the moment of truth. Will she run smooth or will she sound like crap? So she sounds too bad. This could have been a complete waste of time. Hopefully she sounds alright. That's not sounding too bad at all. Nice one. She's running smooth. Doesn't sound bad at all. Armature's alright. Wee bit of damage on it. Hasn't affected the sound or the performance. Just the eccentric gear, 2 O-rings, new grease. That's all we needed to get this thing sorted again. Just make sure she's hammering all right now. Nice one. I'm glad that is running right. An €800 hammer it might be, but that's still an expensive repair. So €800 to buy a new one. That repair still costs €190. So you can imagine if you're adding on another €300 again for a motor onto it, if it'd be worth fixing or not. That's her up and running now. armature's okay, gears changed, fully cleaned out, new O-rings in it, hammering like she should. They're at €190, but still cheaper than buying a new one. Now I would say that is starting to become a common problem. I've done a few of these here with the exact same problem, that broken gear. So we should need to look at that one and see what's the cause of this here eccentric gear failing. Is it a part failure, or is it the design of the harmonics of the hammer? Are they getting a double back feed or something causing it to break that gear? I don't know. Maybe the customers could be just using a tungsten carbide coring bit, a 5-inch one on hammer mode, and putting too much strain on it. I just don't know. At the minute, that's looking like a problem. They would need to address it. But for now, it's fixed up now for reasonably cheap, a lot cheaper than a new one, and it'll keep them hammering for a bit longer. Anyway, hopefully that helps somebody out there with one of these machines to fix up their own machine, or at least diagnose what could be wrong with it and give them an idea how to get it fixed, how much it's going to cost. As always folks, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and if you're liking them, give us a wee like and a follow there at the bottom. And if you want to, you can also hit subscribe as well, or become members to support the channel. Cheers, thanks for watching.